here's Brody Brazil.
So at this point of the calendar year, we're only about 2 weeks away from 2024. Yeah, New Year's always creep up on us, but it shouldn't really be this way that I've got 10 total questions for the A's of 2024. How things are going to be, how things are going to go, and what comes next during and after this calendar year. In no particular order, let's dive into the double-digit amount of questions. Number one, in Oakland in 2024 at the Coliseum. We know they'll be playing there, but what is fan support going to be like and look like? And I imagine that there will be some fans who show up for a certain number of games. They want to go with their kids or their parents or their loved ones or even by themselves. They're sentimental about the final days, potentially, of A's baseball in Oakland. They don't care about anything else other than satisfying their own feelings and needs and going as many more times as seems right to them. And look, I'm not here to tell anybody what's right and what's wrong to do. Everybody's got a different feel and agenda on this, so that's beyond the point. But I do realize that there are some differing opinions here. There will be some people who are flat out emotional already. In fact, they've already decided they've gone to their last A's game in Oakland no matter what. They're done going. They're not entering the gates. Maybe they'll watch. Maybe they'll participate somehow, but they're not going anymore to the Coliseum. They are frustrated. They are beyond frustrated. I think there's also a certain subset of the fan base, like the bandwagon part, that isn't even really paying attention to most or all of this. In the back of their mind, maybe they know that the A's are moving, but they'll just go to a random Saturday afternoon game because, oh yeah, it's baseball, cheap tickets, I'll go with my friends, have some beers. Oh wait, what? This is the final season in Oakland? They're just oblivious, and that's not on them. They're casual baseball fans, but there will be some like that. And the last thing I really don't know about is movements. Like we saw last year, there were a couple reverse boycotts. Will there be more of that? Less of that? Different than that? Obviously, the approach and the situation has changed, but how many more orchestrated fan events will we see? But again, what is fan support going to be like? Oh my goodness. That's my first question. That's probably the one that I have the least amount of inclination or answers on right now. I have no clue how that's going to be in 2024. How about this? How do the A's market themselves in the calendar year of 24? I mean, will they put forth an effort to try and sell tickets and get people to come out to games in Oakland, or is that just kind of rubbing salt in the wound? If they really are moving forward with Las Vegas, and they'll have renderings out, more on that in just a second, and they've got actual plans, and the Tropicana might get demolished mid-season, all of this stuff, like, are they actively still trying to say, hey, we're an Oakland team for now? Or are they projecting Las Vegas this entire time? Are they moving forward on what's next? Are they doing school events? Are they flying Stomper down to elementary schools and middle schools to try and influence kids and make their mark in what they think and what they hope is their new home? Is it going to be about that? That's also not going to play very well in Oakland. And maybe there's some thought about this temporary third home. Sacramento in the conversation. You'll see more about that in a later slide. Also, a whole separate video I have on maybe Sacramento playing a part in being a bridge from the A's in Oakland to Las Vegas, and who knows when and where we'll find out about that. But will the A's maybe even have an effort to a third city in 2024 for 2025, 26, and 27, wherever their temporary situation is going to be? So how do they market themselves? Again, these are all just questions. I think you're going to find the theme here is that I don't have the answers to these things. Does the Tropicana hotel and property get demolished in 2024? Because Bally's, who runs it, and GLPI, who owns it, you got to believe that they're likely planning to level the complex, the 35 acres, almost no matter what. I mean, of course, they want this to happen with the A's. They've planned for it. They've allotted their 9 acres. They've been in communication and conversations, but it almost feels like, and what I've observed throughout this process, Bally's and GLPI and the state of the Tropicana and where things are at, they're going to tear it down no matter what and build something else no matter what. And if the A's are in on it, great. But if the A's situation doesn't time out or they just can't make it work, Tropicana is going to be something different in 5 to 7 years anyway. But obviously no structure on the premises anymore. I mean, that totally offers the blank canvas, and it completely clears the way for the process to move on. Again, whether that's entirely related to the A's and where they're at and funding and building a stadium, two separate things. But obviously I'm interested to know, does the Tropicana survive, the hotel, the two buildings, do they survive the calendar year of 2024? Because they're not supposed to. According to plan, they're not supposed to. Okay, how about this one? Take a breath for this one. Do schools over stadiums, do they get their 102,000 signatures by July? Now, as I understand, as of this point, with a couple of the setbacks, and they've challenged the lawsuit, but they've also reorchestrated their efforts. From what I understand, they don't have a single signature yet, but I also understand that they would have lost all their signatures because of that legal decision and the way they initially went about things. But they still have basically 6 or 7 months, 6+ months, to gather 102,000 signatures from registered voters in the state of Nevada. And if they can get it, which has to be split across the state, 4 different congressional districts, 1 up north, so 25,000 up there, 3 down south, they all kind of converge in Las Vegas, 75,000 there. If they can get this 102,000 signatures, it would result in a November 2024 referendum vote. And look, I'm not trying to paint this one way or another. It's just obvious the nature of referendum votes with public money involved usually means that the public money goes away. These things almost always get voted down. So if the signatures can happen, it gets on the ballot. And if it gets on the ballot, it's pretty much likely to eliminate the $380 million of public funding for this stadium project. Now, does that end the project? I mean, couldn't the A's just go to MGM and say, hey, do you want to buy in on the team for, I don't know, $380 million? 10% of the team, you in? Or some certain percentage? It could be as easy as that. But obviously losing that public money, which they fought so hard for, does seem like it's in the deal breaker conversation for all of this. It's most certainly a significant setback, and Commissioner Rob Manfred even said so a couple months ago. But does schools over stadiums, like, is this possible? Is this something they can do logistically? Are they able to do it? Is this a hard number to reach? Is this easy? I have no clue. I guess we're about to find out. Do we actually get design details or plans or renderings at some point? Round 1, those 3 images that you saw that came out in late May and were dismissed about 60 days later, they're obsolete and they still get used and circulated, and it blows my mind that they're like just plastered back up because news agencies have no other images to work on. It's so unfortunate because they're also completely misleading to the project at hand. Dimensions, scale, what surrounds it. It's probably not going to be a retractable roof at this point. Who knows? But it's very obsolete. The A's even said so themselves. Round 2 of renderings, we were supposed to get almost 2 weeks ago. I'll do a separate video on this entire process. It has started to become a little bit curious. I thought they were delaying the debut based on some tragedies that had happened in Las Vegas, but since then, many other major events have happened in professional sports. Even in politics, the President of the United States paid a visit to Las Vegas. So people are not stalling their things, but the A's are stalling their renderings release for some specific reason. And by the way, renderings, it's not critical to the public. I mean, the public and the media, we are interested. But I do believe that renderings and eventually blueprints, and if this is really going to be a 75% accurate rendering, like they say, then some of this kind of has to go to the total cost of the stadium project. And you'll get a real indication of what this thing might actually cost. Can they really do it for about $1.5 billion? Can they also get a loan for this for $1.1 billion or whatever? I'm not going to speculate on the reason why things have stalled, but it certainly is interesting. And the renderings, believe it or not, they're less important to the public than they actually are to the construction phase of the project. Really paints a picture of where things are at. Okay, here's another huge question. Will Sacramento play a big part in the A's temporary plans? Now, I've already done a whole separate video on this. You should check it out. I've kind of stated that for a couple different reasons here. Number one, I don't think Oakland, at current prices like $1 million of rent per season, they're not going to budge on allowing the A's to continue playing at the Coliseum past 2024. It's year 10 of a 10-year lease. To do something new, in my mind, it's going to take 8 figures. Sorry, I had to do the math. It's going to take like $10 to $20 million per year of rent for Oakland to say, okay, that's actually worth it. But even then, I'm not sure that that's something they want to move forward with. They don't want to be the bridge to helping the A's out of town. On the other side of the bay, I'm not sure the Giants really want to open up Oracle Park 81 more times a year to the A's and have to build separate clubhouses and forego concerts and other ways they could make money and also ruin their field. There's a lot going on there. Maybe they would rather share some of the games and send the A's to Sacramento for like half of their home schedule. I know baseball and the Players Association, they're not really in on that, but I don't know what the options are going to be here. I do know this. Major League Baseball's 2025 schedule, that has to be right around the corner. Usually that's a January or February thing. That's something that has to be spelled out by the A's. Like, here is where we're playing our home games. No other team in baseball has that in question right now, and no other team really in the last, well, maybe with the exception of the Expos going to DC, but we knew that was going to happen. No team has had that in modern times where they don't know where they're going to play for the next season after this one. So it's a rarity, but it's something that absolutely does need to get addressed. That one cannot just be left hanging up in the air. On the baseball side, which we don't really discuss on this channel very much anymore, do we? It's unfortunate. That's actually what I'd rather be talking about. That's what I'm here for. Actual sports, baseball. Will the A's lose another 100 games in 2024? So they came off a 60-102 season 2 years ago. This last year, 50 wins and 112 losses. Oh, there it is on the screen. So, even to think about a team getting better by 15 or 20 games, even if the A's do that, it's number one, a dramatic improvement and increase, and it's going to have to be because of the youth players, because they're not really active at all in the free agent market, but I digress. So 50 and 112, even if you just improve 12 games, you're still a 100-loss team. I don't take any pride or joy in saying that. I'm just telling you the hole was so deep that they dug last year, and really it was dug in the first half of the season, that to be a better team, which I think they should be, like, they have to be a better team than 50 and 112, but they're going to have to be dramatically better and different to not flirt with a 100-loss season. The youth is more experienced, but like I said, they need some free agent and veteran reinforcements, and with their salary situation, with their stadium insecurity and unknowns, there's not a lot of free agents who want to sign a multi-year contract. David Forst flat out admitted that when I was there at winter meetings in Nashville. They're having a hard time signing free agents to multi-year contracts lately. Maybe it works out later in the spring or winter into spring, closer to spring training. But at this point, there's really nothing else for the A's besides their young core. Is Mark Kotsay still going to be the A's manager on December 31st, 2024? Yeah, basically 54 weeks from now, after the next season, going into the winter, and it might happen right after the season. This will be upcoming here, Kotsay's third season with the A's as manager. Has been with them since, 2016 on the bench. But he had an interview with the Mets for their manager position this past winter, right after the season ended. And look, the win-loss record, not on Mark Kotsay. It's also not on David Forst. That's a separate slide. We'll get to that in a second. But I'm just here to say the A's allowed him to do this interview. They also extended his contract for a club option, I believe, into 2025. Yeah, now at this point. But maybe they would allow him to interview again. He could go explore again a different manager job. Look, it's not fair to him to sit on a third straight 100-loss season that wasn't on him and his fault to start his big league skipper career. So I'm here to say that although he's dedicated and he is a true, soldier of Oakland, right? Like, he has played for the team, he's coached for the team, now he manages the team. he loves this. He's a very dedicated person, but even he, based on the scenario, I wouldn't be surprised if he went out and explored again, and if somebody took him up on an offer and made an offer to him. Okay, from Mark Kotsay, the field manager, to the general manager, David Forst, will he be extended, like, at any point past 2027 and beyond? Basically, will the A's bridge him into the Vegas years? I don't know the contract right now. I think he's likely through 2025. Usually the manager and the general manager are on that time frame together. I should have asked at winter meetings, kind of slipped my mind, but I imagine he's secure for a couple more years. But will at some point in 24 the A's just say, you know what, the heck with this. We're going to keep you. We're going to sign you to 3 more years to keep you through 2028. Because look, David Forst, he also, like Mark Kotsay, has respect and a track record to go somewhere else and take on another opportunity. There's no question about it. But I want to make this very clear. If you're just a fan of the A's, and you love at least what the A's do in regenerating themselves and always being able to come up with the next generation of players, like the Chapmans and Olsons, and when they found Marcus and he got great, and Sean Murphy, and even in current times, Lawrence Butler, Zach Geloff, and Esteury Ruiz, they have such an eye for talent that it always buys them out of the situation they're in, like rebuilding or starting from scratch or whatever. But if David Forst and the entire baseball operations side isn't properly appreciated, compensated, and maintained, you're going to go into Las Vegas without a very stable baseball foundation, and one that you've leaned on and relied on for all those years in Oakland. It was the only redeeming thing about your team in Oakland over all those years, is that baseball-wise, they found a flippin' way to make it happen. And so that's why I'm here to say, if you don't hang on to this stuff, you're in trouble from a baseball perspective, and that's kind of one of the only, again, foundations of the team in recent times. Is groundbreaking through 2024 still on track for approximately April of 2025? Again, we've talked about the demolition. I guess that needs to happen before groundbreaking can happen. But any kind of delays in this process, whether they're on the A side or the Bally side or the Tropicana side or the GLPI side, any delays, which are actual or theoretical, they seem noteworthy. And it also seems like it would add more months and maybe more years to the timeline. And we're already at a 3-season temporary status, not optimal, right? Really want to avoid that if you can. So it does seem like any kind of delays here are not minor. Any kind of delay at this point seems major. But if groundbreaking is still on track for April of 2025, I mean, a lot of people say that's when they'll start believing it, when they see shovels go in the ground. But shovels in the ground is an ultimate sign. Now, my belief of that in 2024, no. But I think through that calendar year, the next calendar year, you'll have an idea if it's still on track for April of 2025. Okay. I feel like I asked 100 questions there. It was only 10. I literally have no answers for you. I apologize. I'm just the media guy. I'm here with questions. And some of the answers are out there. Maybe. Some of the answers will take time. We'll find out. Some of the answers might be behind closed doors at this point. But everything is going to have to kind of reveal itself here in 2024. So I think we said that about 2023 at one point in 2022. But at some point, these things are going to have to start explaining themselves, to say the least. You made it here to the end of the video. You know I appreciate that. Thumbs up down below. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the channel so I can definitely see you back here next time.